Trump says Iran called him, begging him to stop the bombs. Iran says that's an absolute lie and a cover for losing. 49 Tomahawk missiles, targets near the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC's response was immediate. The strait is closed. Every tanker stays put. Any vessel that moves will be dealt with decisively. 20% of the world's oil just stopped, again. The war of words between Washington and Tehran has escalated sharply, just hours after the United States carried out a new round of military strikes against targets in southern Iran. US President Donald Trump said the overnight operation was intended to pressure Iran into accepting a nuclear and security agreement proposed by American negotiators.
The bombing campaign would stop shortly if Iran agreed to a deal proposed by US negotiators. We'll bomb the shit out of them tomorrow night.
Trump also stressed that Israel was not involved in the latest attacks, which reportedly targeted Iranian air defense and radar sites near the Strait of Hormuz. Fox News also reported that Trump claimed senior Iranian officials had contacted him directly and requested that Washington halt its bombing campaign, adding that the strikes involved 49 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched against targets inside Iran. But Tehran moved quickly to reject the claim. Iranian state media reported a senior Iranian official dismissing Trump's remarks, describing them as an attempt to obscure the growing confrontation between the two countries.
Trump's false claim that Iranian officials contacted him is a cover to evade war with Iran.
The denial was reinforced by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
The US president's claim is a cover to escape war.
Tasnim news agency went further, calling Trump's assertion an absolute lie and warning that Iran would deliver what it described as a crushing response to the latest American military action. At the same time, senior Iranian military commanders issued new warnings over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important maritime energy corridors.
Are you trying to make the holy Strait of Hormuz insecure? We will turn the region into hell for you from across all of Iran. This is Iran's response to the Americans' audacity in the region, God willing.
The IRGC Navy announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz following the US strikes.
Effective immediately, the Strait of Hormuz is completely closed. Any vessel traffic in the strait will be dealt with decisively. All oil tankers and commercial vessels currently operating in the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman do not leave their anchorages. Approaching the strait will be considered cooperation with the enemy.
The exchange underscores the rapidly deteriorating security environment in the Gulf, with threats to one of the world's most critical energy choke points now emerging alongside growing military confrontation between Iran and the United States. The United States has launched a new round of military strikes against Iran, targeting surveillance networks, communications infrastructure, and air defense systems, in what Washington described as a response to continued Iranian threats against US forces and commercial shipping in the Gulf. In a statement posted on X, US Central Command said American forces carried out what it called self-defense strikes across Iran at the direction of President Donald Trump.
CENTCOM forces launched strikes on Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems, and air defense sites across Iran. U.S. Marine Corps, Air Force, and Navy assets fired precision munitions on Iranian targets that posed a threat to U.S. forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters. The strikes are in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. U.S. forces remain vigilant, lethal, and ready.
Shortly after the announcement, Iranian state media reported explosions in western Tehran, the southern cities of Sirik and Minab, areas around Bandar Abbas, Kish Island and possibly a Saluye in Bushehr province, although some reports remained unverified. The strikes mark another escalation in a conflict that has repeatedly threatened maritime security around the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Iranian state media, citing the country's top joint military command, reported that Tehran had closed the Strait of Hormuz and warned that any vessel attempting to transit the waterway could be targeted. However, Washington quickly disputed the claim that the Strait of Hormuz was closed.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Commercial ships are continuing to transit in and out of the Strait of Hormuz tonight.
Iran also claimed attacks against U.S. military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain and said that 2 vessels described as violating ships had been struck by Iranian naval forces. The IRGC said it launched drone strikes on Bahrain's Sheikh Issa airbase and Kuwait's Ali Al Salam and Ahmad Al Jaber airbases. The Al Azraq airbase in Jordan was also targeted with 12 ballistic missiles. Separately, the Iranian Army's Public Relations Office reported a drone operation targeting the headquarters of the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Shortly after, CENTCOM rejected the claim, stressing no American warship had been struck. Ahead of the newest US strikes on Iran, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth had signaled that military action was imminent.
CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. Because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So, as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America.
Hegseth framed the strikes as an effort to compel Iran back toward a negotiated settlement, rather than an attempt to broaden the conflict. When asked whether attacks on infrastructure could raise concerns about civilian harm, Hegseth defended the operation and reiterated Washington's negotiating position.
We will hit them hard, on our terms, on the targets that improve the environment for us to operate in and undermine the capabilities that Iran wants to have. Again, they can't do that to us meaningfully the way that we can to them, but we're also clearly signaling to them, you have a choice. You have a choice in the way that you respond, and you have a choice with our incredible negotiating team in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and the Vice President and the President, across the board, prepared, Marco Rubio, the whole team, prepared to make a great deal that would benefit Iran. They choose not to, and as a result, they're going to meet United States Central Command again tonight in the way the President laid out clearly.
The latest strikes underscore the collapse of recent diplomatic momentum between Washington and Tehran and raise new questions about whether the confrontation will return to negotiations or move toward a broader regional conflict centered on the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz.